The Woojin Ladder diagram is a tool that lets the machine operator freely program a set of inputs and outputs based on the machine events. Let's take a closer look on the page itself. The page is divided into the following areas. The first is the ladder configuration area, where the ladder program can be set up. Underneath it is the PowerFlow button, which enables or disables the preview of PowerFlow in the program. Bottom part of the page is reserved for the indicators of the freely programmable inputs and outputs. To best show how to use the ladder diagram, let's set up an example program. The program that we will set up should do the following. 1. With an external digital input signal, create a mold close interlock. The mold can only be closed when the digital input signal is low. 2. Once the mold is closing, set a digital output signal to active. Reset the signal 2 seconds after injection starts. 3. Activate a digital output for 3 seconds once the ejector starts moving forward. This could, for example, be used to start a conveyor belt for 3 seconds after a part has been ejected. Before we start creating the program, let's take a look at the building blocks we can use in it. Starting from the left, first we have the contact block. This can be viewed as an input element. Second one is the coil block. This basically represents the program output. The last two blocks are on and off delays. We will shortly show the principle of their operation. Let's now get back to creating our program, starting with the first part. To create an interlock, first we will need an input, controlled by the user. This can be connected to one of the 8 available digital inputs. In our case, let's connect it to the first digital input. Now we just need to add a coil as the program output, and select Interlock Mold Close from the drop-down menu. That's it. Our first program is finished. We will see it in action in a few moments. Let's move on to our second task. To start a new program line, first we need to click on the green plus sign, to add a new line. For our second program we said we want to set a digital output signal when the mold starts to close. To do this, let's first add the mold closing input. Drag and drop the contact block. Select mold closing from the drop-down list, and click OK to confirm our selection. Next, place the coil block on the end of the line. For the coil type, we want to select S. This stands for set, and it will keep the output active until it's reset from another program line. Aside from set and reset, it's also possible to use positive and negative edge signals, and inverted values of signals as coil and contact type. As we said, we want to set a digital output active, so from the action dropdown we pick one of 8 internal outputs. We want to reset this signal 2 seconds after injection starts. Let's go ahead and add a new line where we can program this. First we need a contact that gives an input once the injection is active. Scroll down on the drop-down list to find it, and then confirm the selection by clicking OK. Next we will add an on-delay timer. By setting the timer value to 2000 milliseconds, we are delaying the injection active signal by 2 seconds. Lastly, we need to add a reset coil, and set it to the same output as the set coil. This means that once the injection active signal is true to the coil, it will reset the digital output value back to 0. For our last task, we want to activate a digital output for 3 seconds, once the part has been ejected. This can, for example, start a conveyor belt after a part has been produced. Let's go ahead and start by adding a new program line, and adding a contact block. Normally, once the ejector is moving forward, the part should be ejected, so we will use this as our input. To keep the signal active for a period of time, we will use an off-delay timer block. Setting the delay time to 3000 milliseconds will keep the signal active for 3 seconds. Lastly, we add a coil block, and select one of the free digital outputs. Since many more program lines can be added, it is a good practice to add comments to each program line. This way you can easily distinguish between the functions of the ladder logic. To add a comment, just click on the green text under the line number, and an input field will open. Let's go ahead and add comments to our 4 lines. Before we can run the program, we need to save it. To do this, click in the top right corner of the ladder editor, and select Save, or Save As. Here we can give a name to our program. After the program has been saved, we need to start it. Again, click in the top right corner and then select Start. To see a visual representation of the program execution, we need to enable the power flow. Now we are ready to see our program in action. If we take a look at the bottom left part in the indicator area, we will notice that input 1 is active. This indicates that the mold interlock that we set up is active, and we can see that the mold only moves once this signal is gone. When the mold starts to close, we can see that our second line is executed, and that the output connected to it is set. It will reset 2 seconds after injection starts, because of the delay timer we set in line 3. Last line of our program is executed once the ejector moves forward. Because of the off delay timer that we set, it will continue to be active for 3 seconds. If we want to change the program, we have to stop it. We first stop the power flow, and then in the top right, click on the menu button, and then select Stop. Now we can remove or add new lines of program in the editor window. For the changes to be applied, we must once again save the program. We can overwrite the old, or we can save it as a new program. Let's save it as a new one, then, if needed, the old one can be loaded up again later. When we start the program again and enable PowerFlow, we can see that the program is working, just without the last line that we removed. With this we conclude this presentation. If you have any other questions regarding Woojin Ladder, please leave a comment below, or contact us directly through our customer service channels. Thank you, and have a nice day.